Here. This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. Terror and bloodshed in the Chicago suburb of Winnetka, Illinois. A policeman said, quote, there was blood all over the classroom of the elementary school. A witness said the suspect told the children, kids, I'm going to teach you something about guns. Line up against the wall. And then opened fire. Frank Courier reports on the rampage by a woman police called extremely scary. She was just an ordinary person.
It was every parent's worst nightmare. A woman waving two handguns terrorized a suburban Chicago elementary school today, killing one child, critically wounding 5 others.
He just walked right past the teacher, announced that the gun was real, and began firing.
It happened at mid-morning in a second-grade classroom at the Hubbard Woods School in Winnetka. Scores of police in this wealthy North Shore community sealed the area as tearful parents learned the truth.
It's very upsetting to everybody around here.
I drove over as fast as I could with my other child and found out that my child was okay.
As the children were being rushed to hospitals, the suspect fled to a house here a block away. She's identified as 30-year-old Lori Dan, who police say has a history of mental illness. A SWAT team prepared to storm the house where she's believed still barricaded after she wounded a 20-year-old youth who lived there and finally escaped.
There was a struggle over the gun with the one's son. He was shot. He did come out of the house and fall to the driveway with one of the weapons.
The flurry of gunshots killed an 8-year-old boy. The other 5 children and the 20-year-old are all hospitalized in intensive care following surgery.
The 4 children, 3 are critical and stable, doing very well, and the 4th is critical and somewhat unstable.
The rampage followed a domestic argument between the suspect and a family for whom she was a live-in babysitter. She allegedly set fire to the family home today before the shootings.
It's extremely scary. She's just an ordinary citizen. But she went through and set all this up.
With the suspect armed and believed hiding in a house surrounded by police, parents took no chances a few blocks away, escorting their children to the safety of home to help tend to what one father called the emotional wounds. Frank Courier, CBS News, Winnetka, Illinois.
New reports of a tentative Reagan-Noriega deal tonight, a deal to drop all the drug-running indictments against Panama's strongman general. This comes amid spreading talk that Vice President Bush now says he opposes a Noriega deal. But testimony from one of Bush's own top aides is again raising questions about what Bush has said about when he first heard about drug running in high Panamanian places. White House correspondent Bill Plant is tracking all of this.
Late today, General Manuel Noriega flashed thumbs up when asked how negotiations were going amid a new round of reports that a deal is imminent for him to step down and temporarily leave the country. At the same time, the Reagan administration called home its negotiator for consultations. The deal reportedly still includes a U.S. offer to drop drug indictments against Noriega, and that is drawing mixed reviews on Capitol Hill.
I certainly think at this juncture, we shouldn't be prepared to continue trying to put one deal after another on the bargaining table.
Let's get him out of Panama. If we can do it by dropping the indictment and getting him out of Panama, then I'm for it.
The president had nothing to say about Panama, but he and the vice president appeared together earlier today, all smiles. At about the same time, Bush's chief of staff was confirming that the vice president had broken with Mr. Reagan over Panama. At a meeting yesterday, Bush urged that the administration stop negotiating with Noriega and abandon its offer to drop drug indictments against the Panamanian leader if he steps down. So far, Bush's advice has been ignored, but his campaign manager had no apologies for his boss's newfound independence.
Made it clear that if he were president, he would not be dealing with a drug dealer. And it speaks for itself. There's nothing I need to say or do to elaborate on that.
But questions persist about Bush's own knowledge of what Noriega was up to. The vice president has said he was unaware of Noriega's role in the drug trade until the indictments. But today, his national security advisor testified that after a 1985 briefing by the U.S. ambassador to Panama, which Bush also attended, quote, we came away with the sense that Noriega was a growing problem, politically, militarily, and possibly in the drug area.
Sources tell CBS News that State Department negotiator Michael Kozak is bringing a draft agreement from Panama to Washington, and the White House Chief of Staff Howard Baker says that Kozak will meet with the president. But everyone here emphasizes that the deal is extremely tentative, though they are very anxious for this long, dragged-out drama to end before the summit. Bill Plant, CBS News, the White House.
The Associated Press reports tonight that the tentative deal with Noriega calls for him to resign and leave Panama in August, but the deal reportedly would give him a role in setting up what is called a transition government, and he would be free to return after presidential elections in May of next year. In return for this temporary departure and presumably silence, the U.S. would drop its drug charges against Noriega. Capitol Hill correspondent Phil Jones reports tonight there's another instance of Vice President Bush now trying to distance himself from President Reagan and a Reagan policy. This time, Mr. Reagan's vow to veto the big new trade bill because of a provision that would make many U.S. companies warn workers of impending layoffs and plant closings. Bush now is backing a compromise, one that Mr. Reagan himself may end up backing. Artillery fire rained down on the slums south of Beirut today. 9 people reportedly killed, raising the death toll to more than 250 in the turf war between rival Shiite factions. Syria has deployed thousands of troops around the battle area, but so far has not moved in to aid the pro-Syrian Amal militia against the pro-Iranian Hezbollah. Hezbollah has threatened to kill American hostages if the Syrians move in. Against this backdrop, U.S. Ambassador Vernon Walters arrived in Syria today. The State Department said he was not there to talk about hostages, but Walters himself didn't rule it out.
Vernon Walters is not there on a hostage mission, pure and simple. He's there on a United Nations mission.
This is not a trip specifically for the hostages, but obviously, since the hostage question is so important to us, I will be talking to all of the people who have some possibility of influence over this matter.
Vernon Walters. The Syrians have mediated the release of American hostages in the past, and as correspondent Doug Tennell has found out, they know a lot about the kidnappers.
One thing the Syrians can offer Vernon Walters is the very latest intelligence on this man, Ahmed Mugnia, the mastermind of the Lebanese Muslim terrorist group that is holding at least 5 American hostages, and which often uses the name Islamic Jihad.
That is the man. That is Mr. Islamic Jihad.
Very little is known about Ahmed Mugnia. He is believed to be in his late 20s or early 30s, and former hostage David Jacobson says that when he was forced to record a videotape statement from captivity in Beirut, Mugnia was the man behind the camera.
I had an opportunity to see him once, clearly, when he was taking a videotape, one of my last videotapes. And he held a newspaper over his head like this, thinking I wouldn't be able to identify him, but that is Mugnia.
He is said to look a little older now than in this passport photograph, and he has often appeared clean-shaven since this snapshot was taken in Tehran in 1985. Just last month, Mugnia was reported to have returned to Iran during the hijacking of the Kuwaiti airliner, his group's latest failed attempt to secure the release of 17 convicted terrorists from a prison in Kuwait. Kenneth Timmerman, a terrorism expert, was a consultant to CBS News on this story.
He was in Mashhad, where the plane first landed. He gave orders to the hijackers while the plane was on the ground in Mashhad. Then he went back to Beirut via Damascus.
He's not a crazy lunatic fanatic that's running around. This is a man who is sincerely dedicated to a cause and dedicated to seeking the release of his brother-in-law, who is one of the prisoners in the Kuwaiti jail.
At least 5 Americans, Terry Anderson, Thomas Sutherland, Frank Reed, Joseph Cicipio, and Edward Tracy, as well as the Church of England's envoy Terry Waite, are still held in Mugnia's secret prisons around Lebanon, and many experts believe the Syrians know where.
I think Ahmed Mugnia has been coordinating many of his activities with the Syrians for years.
But Syria does not control Mugnia. The experts say Iran gives him his orders, but as is frequently the case in the chaos of Lebanon today, Ahmed Mugnia generally decides in the end whether to follow those orders or not. When Syrian mediators helped end the TWA hijacking in 1985, and the FBI reportedly found Mugnia's fingerprints in a rear washroom on board the plane, David Jacobson was still a hostage in Beirut.
What was it like to see this picture of him?
Well, it filled me with anger. Anger for the vengeance that I have within me for not what he really did to me, but what he did to my family, and the evil that he has forced upon Lebanon. There were 3 million victims of Mugnia.
Ahmed Mugnia is believed to be among the Lebanese caught up in the battle for Beirut's southern suburbs tonight. Doug Tennell, CBS News, Paris.
Radical students attacked the U.S. Embassy in South Korea today during a third straight day of violent demonstrations. A half-dozen students climbed over the wall and threw firebombs inside the embassy compound. U.S. officials called in South Korean police to drive them out. 1 student and 4 police were injured. Still ahead on the Friday CBS Evening News, correspondent Ray Brady reports on sticker shock at the clothing racks, and Bruce Hall on a confessed sinner's return to the pulpit.
Up to $2,000 cash back from Subaru is worth more than the same money from anyone else. It's worth more because Subaru builds a rugged, reliable wagon that's the best-selling import wagon in America. It's worth more because Subaru's XT6 has the same engine design found in a Ferrari or a Porsche. It's worth more because the Subaru Justy is the lowest-priced four-wheel drive passenger car in America. Up to $2,000 cash back on a Subaru is worth more because it's on a Subaru.
Dramatic savings now at Color Tile's fabulous floor sale. Every in-stock ceramic floor tile is on sale. This beautiful ceramic tile is now just 59 cents. Every in-stock wood parquet is on sale. Our handsome parquet is reduced by as much as 50%. And every in-stock Armstrong Sundial Solarian sheet vinyl is now on sale for only $8.88. Only at Color Tile's fabulous floor sale, and only for 4 days. Come to Color Tile and bring the beauty home.
If you're concerned about heart disease and your doctor advises exercise, the right foods, and an aspirin a day, you should know that heart specialists recommend Ecotrin more than Bayer when they're concerned about aspirin irritation because it's safety coded. Ecotrin, the one heart specialists recommend.
When you have heartburn, you can bet on effective cherry-flavored Rolaids antacid. Calcium-rich, sodium-free, and a winning cherry taste. Cherry-flavored Rolaids. Tastes like cherry, works like Rolaids.
The government today reported that consumer prices in April rose 0.4%. Analysts found worrisome figures behind that modest increase in inflation. The report said gasoline prices last month rose at their fastest pace since August, while grocery costs climbed at the steepest rate in 20 months. And clothing costs, which have been running above the overall inflation level for more than a year, jumped 2% in April, tying March for the biggest monthly gain since such records were first kept in 1947. CBS News business correspondent Ray Brady looked at the reasons your clothing costs so much.
Well, I guess it would be nice if I could touch. On the runways, they're showing all kinds of designs. Pants, skirts that are long, in between, and short. But in the stores, the customers are showing sticker shock.
Why are they going to come into these stores and buy? It's just, the prices are ridiculous.
There is a negative consumer reaction to garments right now and the price increases in product out there, which have ranged from, we think, 20 to 40% in many cases.
Today's government figures tell the story. While the cost of living is up a bit, the prices of men's and above all women's clothing soared, and they're still rising.
For example, this fall, a basic high-quality two-ply cashmere sweater will cost more than $400 versus about $300, $325 for last fall.
Clothing's global. It comes from around the world. But with the dollar way down in value, the price goes up for American companies who buy or manufacture goods abroad.
So a fabric that we bought 2 years ago that at the time was $65 a meter, this season was $120 a meter.
Also raising prices, quotas. Certain countries can only ship in so much. Result, with fewer garments coming in, foreign makers raise their prices, and U.S. makers feel free to do the same. Not only that, many stores are getting rid of their lower-priced goods. They're stocking up on higher-priced lines because they feel that's where the profits are. Estimates are the average working woman spends about $1,700 a year on clothes. Even so, women everywhere are digging in their heels.
I mostly shop this sort of clothing on sale, so I try to find the clearance stuff.
Suits are easy because I don't have to make up my mind how to dress. See, for business, it's great. Just give me a blue one, thank you.
Take heed, smug male. Even that blue suit will cost you 20% more. Because whether it's male or female clothing, prices for fall will be up, just like those hemlines. Ray Brady, CBS News, New York.
More trouble tonight for the television ministry. A Justice Department official today said a PTL bankruptcy trustee resigned because he did not want to preside over the liquidation of that empire. And defrocked by the Assemblies of God, Louisiana's Jimmy Swaggart will be preaching the old-time religion again this weekend, but to considerably less than the old-size audience. Bruce Hall reports.
Embattled television evangelist Jimmy Swaggart is pleading for forgiveness from his followers, saying he will return to the pulpit Sunday, hoping to save his crumbling worldwide ministry.
I'm asking you to give me one more chance to say, ladies and gentlemen, would you please bow your heads? And then start to give an altar call, because I am an evangelist. That's my heart. That's my life. That's my dream. That's all that I live and breathe.
However, his empire is facing increasing difficulties since he confessed to a moral failure 3 months ago. His television programs have been dropped by cable companies that reach nearly 70 million homes, and at least 5 foreign countries have canceled shows and crusades. Assembly of God ministers across the country have criticized Swaggart for failing to abide by the 1-year suspension ordered by the church.
So clearly, the reason he is coming back is for financial reasons, which I think is tragic. And I think it sends a wrong message when televangelists more than ever need to be putting that kind of image behind them.
The controversy is hurting the Swaggart Bible School, with about half of the students expected to leave for good at the end of the term. At least 7 associate ministers have left the Swaggart Church, including longtime friend Gerald Ogg.
And between 1,000 and 1,200 people had left the church in the weeks following his admission of his problem.
And the loss of members and viewers has thrown the ministry into a financial crisis. Swaggart says $6 million is needed this month to survive.
I need your money. I need your financial support. I need the largest check you can give.
But his past association with a New Orleans prostitute continues to hurt donations. And the problem apparently will not go away, as Deborah Murphy has posed for pictures and will tell her story in a national magazine next month. Meanwhile, Swaggart says if he did not return to the pulpit this weekend, quote, millions of people will go to hell. Bruce Hall, CBS News, Baton Rouge.
Well, this doesn't look very interesting. I mean, I thought you'd have me try something a little fancier, maybe with nuts and fruit cocktail. These are nothing but flakes. It isn't at all what I expected. I like it. Oh, I get it. It's a whole new kind of cereal. Simple and back to basics, right? I like it.
Kellogg's Corn Flakes.
Corn Flakes?
Taste them again for the first time.
For some people, minor mouth pain can be major trouble. For them, a toothache or denture pain can put them right out of business. Introducing new Maximum Strength Ambisol with the most pain reliever you can buy. It gives maximum strength relief on contact, which means before you can say Tchaikovsky, the pain's gone. New Maximum Strength Ambisol in liquid and gel. For minor mouth pain, it's major relief.
Now for indigestion, gas, introducing new Extra Strength Malox Plus. It neutralizes more than any leading antacid and dissolves gas. Nobody does as much as new Extra Strength Malox Plus.
When your coffee's rich enough for all working day long and it tastes your way, it's necessarily Nescafe.
Great coffee blends to taste your way. That's necessarily Nescafe.
In Florida, the federal court jury had more bad news today for Carlos Later, the Colombian cocaine cartel billionaire convicted yesterday of bringing in drugs by the ton. Today, the jury decided the U.S. government may indeed seize millions of dollars of property belonging to Later on the tiny Bahamas island of Norman's Cay. Have you noticed something new has been added to presidential politics this year? The politics of AIDS. How best to deal with this devastating disease is an issue both inside and outside the gay and lesbian community, and much more than a medical question. CBS News chief political correspondent Bruce Morton reports tonight on the impact of AIDS on Campaign 88.
It looks like a lot of other political dinners, but this is a gay and lesbian Democratic club, and candidates speak here to its issues.
The war on AIDS must get the highest priority of any domestic issue.
Years ago, a lot of gays avoided politics, feeling maybe if we leave the government alone, it'll leave us alone. AIDS has changed that.
The only institution that we can really look toward to attempt to solve the epidemic is the federal government.
Perhaps 50,000 cases now, 250,000 by the end of the new president's first term. AIDS will make enormous demands on the healthcare system we all use. It is a national, not just a gay issue. Tax dollars will be needed.
Where are those dollars going to come from? Are they going to be new dollars? Are they going to come from other programs? And so, absolutely, it is a political issue.
You want AIDS recess? Vote about it. It's time to vote about it and not just talk about it.
Jesse Jackson is the first choice of most gays here. He marched to the state capitol with them, to the U.S. Capitol with them last fall. He is for more money against any mandatory testing for AIDS.
And I'm very proud of the fact that my state has the best program for AIDS in the country, that it's one of the few states in the country that devotes state funds to research, that it has done more for education and prevention than any state in the country.
Despite these hecklers, most gay leaders say Dukakis's record is good on AIDS. More research, limited mandatory testing. Gays disagree with him on other issues, like giving heterosexual couples preference as foster parents, a disagreement that may help Dukakis with straight voters.
To sit there and say that the way to find an instant answer is to spend more than $1 billion a year and throw it at the problem, I'm not for that.
Gay leaders are most critical of Bush, saying he's more interested in mandatory testing than in searching for a cure.
You'll see in November the gay and lesbian vote going maybe as high as 80 or 90% Democratic for maybe the first time in its history.
Here in California, AIDS is a concern to straight voters, but it has not split them along party lines. It has made gays more politically active, and it seems to have made most of them Democrats. Bruce Morton, CBS News, San Francisco.
A federal judge in San Francisco today postponed the government's plan to start random drug testing of the nation's federal prison workers. The union, representing 700,000 federal employees, including more than 9,000 prison workers, contends that the testing is unconstitutional.
My mama used to scrub all day till our house smelled as fresh as a Carolina pine forest. I don't have all day, so I use Lysol Pine Action. The dual action top squeezes for small spaces, dilutes for big jobs. So this whole house feels like home. Lysol Pine Action, the clean of pine in less time.
I confess, I can't stop. I just can't stop. It smells so good, I just can't stop spraying.
Lysol Fresh Scent smells as good as it works.
Today, hospitals have more medicines than ever to care for their patients. The one they choose most to relieve pain is Tylenol. Look, last year they dispensed Tylenol 10 times more than the leading aspirin and ibuprofen brands combined. With so many pain relievers to choose from, isn't it reassuring to know the pain reliever hospitals use most is Tylenol? That's a good reason for you and your family to use Tylenol too. Tylenol, the pain reliever hospitals use most.
Nothing should come between you and your pet, except the Hearts 2-in-1 collar. The collar that kills fleas and ticks for 5 months. Keeps them off your pet and out of your home. Go ahead, hug, snuggle, tickle him. The Hearts 2-in-1 collar lets you get close to your pet without getting close to fleas and ticks. If you want to hug a happier pet and have peace of mind, get the Hearts 2-in-1 collar.
White House officials are working today trying to laugh off reports that the Soviets might have been bugging First Lady Nancy Reagan's calls to a San Francisco Society astrologer, and reports that the White House was worried enough about that to launch an investigation. One fact did emerge today. Mrs. Reagan, according to the president's spokesman, doesn't use and doesn't have a so-called secure phone, one that's bug and interception proof. White House correspondent Tara Smith reports tonight how Mr. Reagan and his joke writers have been trying to do some carefully scripted laughing off of his troubles.
President Reagan's final appearance before the annual White House News Photographers Dinner last night was picture perfect. He brought along a selection of his favorite slides to share what he described as the ultimate insider's account of life in the White House.
So, Marlon, hit the lights. In this photo, I'm saying, this is the way it works, Mikhail. If Domino's doesn't get the pizza here in 35 seconds, we get it free. And while Gorbachev was here, I even made him write 100 times, I will not cheat, I will not cheat.
It was all in fun, even when a slide of celebrated antagonists Don Regan and Nancy Reagan popped up.
Oops. Here I am on top of the White House. And the soldier's explaining where he thinks the next book will come from.
Lest anyone think presidential travel is all work.
We used to fly Air Force One over Wyoming low and shoot buffalo from the window.
And the president showed how much he supports George Bush.
Here we are listening to one of his speeches.
At the end, the president turned nostalgic with the men and women who have caught the Reagans from every angle, flattering and otherwise, for the last 7 years.
So, as we say our farewells here tonight, this salute's for you.
Terrence Smith, CBS News, the White House.
And that's the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather. Bob Schieffer will be here tomorrow. I'll see you Monday. Good night.
Announcing a dramatic breakthrough in shaving technology. The new Remington Microscreen Ultimate shaves as close as a blade and closer than any other electric shaver, or your money back. The Ultimate's exclusive beard lifter gets whiskers other shavers leave behind. And like all Remington Microscreen shavers, the first screen shaves incredibly close, the second even closer. Try the new Remington Ultimate now. It will shave you as close as a blade and closer than any other electric shaver, or your money back.
Why do they call it heartburn? When it's me, your stomach, that's hurting. When antacids don't stop the pain from coming back, it could be an ulcer. It's okay, because there are treatment programs to help heal ulcers. If you think you have an ulcer, go see your doctor and ask about the available treatment programs. Sponsored by SmithKline & French, the ulcer experts. You could make your stomach very happy.
Know how Hoover gives you real power in a canister cleaner?
No.
The exclusive Quadriflex agitator gets down so deep and picks up so much, it does a whale of a job.
It does a bear of a job.
Dimension 1000. Hoover keeps making it better.
I just got dentures, but it hasn't slowed me down.
Start to be the 45. Want to hear 45. 45.
Fixodent and forget it. Fixodent helps fix loose spots for a strong hold that lasts longer than any leading cream.
True, I hear 25. Want to hear 25. 25.
Use Fixodent and forget it.
Getting out of hand. On the next win, lose, or draw.
Tonight at 6:30 on Channel 4.